Welcome to Bridge the Gap 2020, Day 5, our final day. We're coming live, but it's not too late for you to join us on any other of our days that we've done. So jump onto our YouTube page or Facebook and you can see all the other days, and feel free to watch, share, comment, and we'd be happy to see you enjoying those days as well as today. We have had an incredible week, and we could not have done it without so many people. So first, I want to thank Rose and Stacy from Bridge of Grace. They have been so instrumental in getting this behind the scenes going from the Bridge of Grace side. I want to thank Kristen Packnett. She is an incredible volunteer and a wonderful sister, but she has been working on Bridge the Gap since it started about 5 years ago, and she is so talented and so wonderful, so we thank her. We also want to thank A Betterman Production. They are right there behind the camera helping us today and every day. They're doing all the production and really cool features every day, and we just thank them so much. And finally, our producer, Peter. He is on the board constantly making sure everything goes off without a hitch, and we just thank them all so much for their heart for this mission and so many things around Fort Wayne and the world. We also have some incredible sponsors that you've seen every day playing before the show starts. We have Strom Building Solutions, Steel Dynamics, Sweetwater, Barnes & Thornburg, Old National Bank, and PNC Bank. We thank them so much for their continued investment here at Bridge of Grace. And we also have so many people who have given. We have reached our goal, or we're reaching our goal, and have reached 71% of our goal, which is absolutely incredible. But we still have 29% left to do. So we have a matching gift still on the board. So it's a little less than $6,000. So today, if you donate, that matching gift will help double your gift to Bridge of Grace. So please think about donating to us, and also help us share the word. So you can share this right now as you're watching, whether Facebook or YouTube. Also, feel free to send some people texts or emails and let them know about the great things happening here at Bridge of Grace. Today we have an incredible final show as we're focused on development. We're going to be hearing from Javier Mondragon, the CEO and founder of Bridge of Grace, and Raina Bradley, our Community Development Director. They're going to have a conversation about what community development looks like at Bridge of Grace and how it's different from some other organizations. We're also going to hear from Jintel McGee, who works in our NBP landscaping. And finally, we have an incredible video from Scott Glaze and Dennis Roars from Fort Wayne Metals, and they're going to talk to us about their new project here on the southeast side of town. So sit back and watch this incredible video of a volunteer here at Bridge of Grace.
I'm Kerry Ellis, and I am 76. I started this journey a long time ago. I grew up in Alabama in a family of 10 kids, 10 children, 3 boys, 7 girls. We always had Christ in our life as children because we always went to church. And Mom always had us to do things in church. We weren't made to go to church. It was a part of our lives. Like going to school, you get up, you know you got to go to school. So on Sunday morning, you know you had to go to church. On a Saturday, you had to get your clothes together for the whole week. Iron, wash, iron, clean the house, clean outside. You just had to do your choices. And Mom didn't have to tell you but once what you had to do. She didn't do no 2 or 3 times, stop, come, you know, do this and do that. She told you one time. So we all learned how to do that. And then as I got grown and came to Fort Wayne, I started working at St. Joe and I worked there for 48 years. And God been good to me, because in the spring of this year, I was losing weight, and I wasn't on no diet. And I know I was losing weight for a reason. And the doctor I kept telling her I'm losing weight. She kept saying it was good. And I told her, I said, it's not good, I'm not on no diet. I'm eating a lot. So I told her, I said, you check me. Then she took blood work and everything. Then last time I went to her, I told her, I said, you check me for cancer. Check me for cancer. And then she checked me for cancer, and I did have it. So I went through radiation, and I went through chemo. I even told the church family what was going on with me. Because when you're going through trials and tribulations, you need your family, even your church family, you need them. Because you need prayer, and you need God's strength. Because you can't go through something like this alone. This is something that God let come upon you. He didn't put it upon me. He let it came upon me. And he let it came upon me for a reason. So I learned I have to go through this, because this is what he got planned for me. And I like my neighborhood. I've been in my neighborhood at least about 50 years, I think. And I like my house. I like my garden spot, my yard. I love the neighbors. And the neighbors keep watch on you. If you're not doing what they used to seeing you doing, then they gonna try to find out what's going on. And that's because they care. And a lot of time when people ask you how you doing, they don't mean to be nosy. They just want to help you if they can. Because in this life, we need help. We need one another. And don't let nobody tell you that I don't need nobody. I can do this on my own. No, you don't. You need one another. God didn't desire us for to do everything on our own. He desires us for help, surrounding loved ones, and show that love, and be that love, and live that love. And I just thank God for what he's done in my life.
Oh my gosh, don't you just love that video? I love the way Miss Kerry has so much energy, and how she stresses how we all need to just band together as community members.
She can be a preacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Live that love.
I gotta lose my job with Miss Kerry, but that's okay. She's great.
Absolutely.
She's a good member. Yeah, one thing that she mentioned in that video is she talks about how we need each other, and we need to love each other. And in this time of the pandemic, when the pandemic started, since March, there is so much about that isolation, about people feeling alone.
Yes.
I read so much about the mental health that goes on. And so what she's talking about, loving each other, caring for one another, is so important. And COVID, has brought all these problems at front, just to kind of show more.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's brought so many things to light. When we first entered the pandemic, I felt like, first it was just a shock to the system, right? Like, oh my gosh, who knew that this was going to happen? But it laid so many issues that were in our community bare. All of a sudden we realized that so many households are one paycheck away from being hungry. They're one paycheck away from being able to afford their own medication. It just had such a big way of showing us some of the systemic issues and concerns that were facing our community. And one of the big underlying concerns that we noticed when it came to food security, when it came to health, when it came to falling into payday loans, was wealth in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely. You talk about internet access too, when the kids when they have to close the schools and then send them home, and not having access to internet, or not having a device at home to be able to get online and be
Right.
doing just their
How do you
work.
apply for a job now if you can't get online?
I know. So we've done a lot. I think it's adapting to the community, listening to the community again, and see what, just what we can do for the community. Yeah, talk about the wealth,
Sure.
Today we're talking about economic development. And so in the economic development, there's some concerns we have, at the same time, something that we can do, and we can invite the people who are watching to help us with this.
Absolutely. So when it comes to wealth, I want to share a couple quick facts. Did you guys all know that if there was no wealth disparity by race in Allen County, that the average Black community or Black household will be earning an additional $14.7 thousand a year? The average Hispanic household would be earning an additional $13.7 thousand a year. That's huge, especially when you consider the demographics in our neighborhood, where the average household earns about $25,000 per year. And additionally, when you think about Allen County as a whole, our economy would be $1.78 billion larger if only there were no racial disparities in the wealth between our families. So that's why it's so important to think about wealth and addressing issues of wealth when it comes to home ownership, when it comes to financial stability, when it comes to households in our neighborhood.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's so important. I think I was just having a conversation yesterday, and there's this the disparity, the gap between wealth, the people who own a home. Yesterday we were talking about how when we came and we started to look at the numbers of households that are rentals and the ones that are owners in this neighborhood, it was 66%
Right.
rentals. And so there's a lot to do with that, right? It's culture. It's not able to afford to buy a home or have the path to get to buy a home.
Or thinking that
All
you
that.
can't afford it, because really renting is expensive, isn't it?
It's more expensive than buying.
Absolutely.
Here, at least.
I mean, I just looked at the numbers this morning, and it costs about $50,000 to buy a house in this neighborhood.
Wow.
But it costs $600 a month to rent a house. A mortgage, guys, for a $50,000 house is $250 a month. So that's over $4,000 that the average family could be saving every
year.
single year if they bought their house instead. There's so many programs out there: assistance with closing costs, assistance with understanding the cost of home ownership. But just think about what people could do with that money. Maybe they wouldn't have to get a second or third job, and they could spend more time with their families. Maybe they could save money to send their kids to college.
Right.
Maybe they could save money to send themselves, to Spain or what have you. Just have a better life, have a better retirement.
Right. Yeah. The conversation yesterday was, they grew up with their parents having a home, their grandparents having a home, owning a home, and how it was just instilled. It was like, it was expected that you will buy a house. When you are 18 and you go, or you have to go and work, and instead of renting, you buy a house, because that's what you do, and you will thank me in 7 years. They said.
Right.
And you thank me because the house, the equity that you get, when you buy a house. And so, the importance of owning.
And I'm so glad you mentioned equity, because when great development comes to an area, if you have equity in a home, if you own, that just grows your wealth.
Right.
You have even more money. But if you're renting, it could potentially cause you to have to leave
Right.
the community that you love. And so that's why over the next few years, as we think about economic development at Bridge of Grace, we really want to instill like financial savviness and promote home ownership for the people in our communities, because that means that they will be able to benefit from all the development that the city of Fort Wayne is planning, all the
Right.
development that Yarden Company is recommending. If you guys want, go ahead and check out those plans at the City of Fort Wayne's website. We love those ideas.
Right.
We just want to make sure that our community members can be here to celebrate those accomplishments and be here to benefit from those accomplishments and from that development, rather than potentially being displaced by them. And with the values going up in Mount Vernon Park so quickly, we've seen a 7% increase in home prices here in just the past 12 months. We just really want to get out in front of that to make sure that our residents can benefit.
Yeah, I think that's key. I heard a story of a person who, there's this development, the traditional development that happens usually when a city or this developer comes and purchases a big building and then does economic development, and they put restaurants or retail or whatever. Usually what happens is the person who gets benefit from that is usually the person who has the building, because everybody's renting from that person. And then the people who are around that building, usually, my concern has always been, the people, is that if it's really benefiting the people there, and it usually doesn't. And so that person who feel hopeless and is still discouraged for what's going on in their community, don't having a full-time job or having to work two jobs, that person will walk from that building, in a nice building now that has retail and restaurants, and still feel hopeless because it's not really benefiting that person. In fact, it can affect them, because then the prices rise, and then they won't be able to afford to live in that neighborhood.
You're right. There can be so many unintended consequences when it comes to business and to development. But we're fortunate that we have in Southeast Fort Wayne some business owners who are really doing their best to counteract that kind of thing.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit more about who's doing that here locally?
I think that's important. We have a lot of different neighbors here around the Mount Vernon Park that you can see their commitment to this neighborhood. They have businesses here. Yamen is one of them. A couple years ago, there was a great story about them wanting to stay, and they added to their building. They actually put more in their building because they said we're committed to stay here in this neighborhood. So I think that another part, which has been our philosophy always, is that any development, any economic development we do, we have to really ask the business that are here already, the people that are here, and engage with them and really ask them, how can you come alongside in the process of developing something. I think it's so important to ask people, to get them engaged, especially those business owners that are here already. So that's for me, I think is key. It's so important to do. If we establish that foundation that you talk about, that people benefit from any economic development here, who live here, and the people get engaged in the process of developing, that's key.
Absolutely. And I think even when it comes to business owners contributing to development, there's also space for our residents to contribute as potential business owners to that development, right? In our neighborhood, we've had people who do craft activities, who are hobbyists, who bake pies, who make body scrubs.
Good pies.
Good pies, or good cheesecakes too. You know who you are.
That's right.
But people who do all kinds of phenomenal things, but all those things don't have to be hobbies.
Right.
They can be businesses. And so that's why around, was it just last year? It seems like forever ago. 2019 seems like worlds away right now.
That's true.
But last year we were fortunate that the city of Fort Wayne created a partnership with us and Yard and Company before they started doing the Southeast strategy and thinking. To figure out how we could maximize some resources right here in our neighborhood. And they came up with this awesome idea of having a multicultural fall festival on Fairfax Avenue. That's a lot of F's for you out there. F for fun and family. No failure. But what was cool about that was that it not only provided like a cultural outlet where we could celebrate, the Burmese culture here, the Hispanic culture here, the Afro-American culture here, the German, Polish, whatever other culture we have right here in our neighborhood. We could celebrate our people, but it also created space to have vendors come out and sell their wares, so that mom who's out there who makes those cheesecakes, we want more, she could come sell those cheesecakes and figure out what it's like to run a business. The other mom who's out there who makes the body scrubs, dads are welcome too. We just don't know what your hobbies are yet. That she could set up a booth to figure out how to go about establishing a business. So really easy, kind of low risk, low cost way to get involved. Because what I think puts a lot of people off is they feel like it's too big. Right. Or it'll cost too much.
They don't know where to start.
Or they don't, exactly. Yeah. They don't know where to start. So having those vendor booths would be a great avenue to get people in. But we also have a bigger dream for like a coffee shop in the community. Where people can have 3-season vendor booths set up a little more permanently. But we could also create a third space, I think is what they called it, in our neighborhood. It's not work and it's not your house. It's somewhere else where you can go and be.
Just hang out.
just be a part of the community.
Yeah, that's great. I think something we want to make sure is clear. I think our philosophy of making sure people get benefit from any economic development, people are engaged in the process of any economic development, and then also so people are at front. The people will own and create wealth out of any economic development. That doesn't mean that we are saying to outsiders who can come and open a restaurant or buy a building and remodel the building and do some retail, or buy a building like a Scott Glaze from Fort Wayne Metals and provide jobs, right, and all of that. I think it's important that we establish that foundation, that people are benefit from any economic development, people are engaged in the process, and then get the people who can come and help us invest and make this community a better place. I think that's key.
Absolutely. Everyone is welcome in our community. But we also just want to make sure that those residents who are here, like Miss Kerry, who contribute, who encourage, who love, that if they want to stay here during the development of the community, that they have every opportunity to do so and to thrive in this space.
Yeah, their kids and their grandkids and the generations to come to be able to be here, feel safe, and get benefit from any development. So, yeah, thank you. I think we wanted to express our goals and our vision of economic development, the reason behind it, and the foundation that we want to create with this. Scott Glaze is an example of that. They bought a building that was sitting empty, and they developed it, and they have these jobs that they're going to create. It's a training center, and they were so open about just being listening to what the community say, and so that's key, I think, too. But thank you for the conversation we can have, and thank you for listening too.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
My name's Gentel McGee. I'm like the lawn care team member, moving into the COO position. This basically maintaining the customer base, and communicating with them, and keeping track of the employees, staff, and making sure we have work for them, and just making sure that the boat stays afloat. So, being a parent changed my life. Completely changed my life. Like, I come from a long line of single parents, or single mothers, I should say. So that just drove me. Instead of that being a disadvantage or a handicap, that was like, that's something I can build pride off of. 'Cause I wasn't really great at anything, but I know I could be great at this. I wanted to do stuff, not just for me now, for them. So I went to school, I got my degrees, just went on forward, trying to be the best me I can be, trying to be the best dad I can be. I mean, they deserve that. Actually, an old friend of mine, Aaron, introduced me to Javier. He told me what he was looking for, and I was like, oh, okay. He's like, if something you want to do, maybe you should reach out. And this is probably one of the best things I've done so far. Like, this whole opportunity is just like a blessing. I mean, I grew up 5 minutes down the street, so it's kind of like, maybe this is where I'm like meant to be, and now we're here, I guess. My vision for MVP is endless. And I say that, the endless opportunity you could create for the community. I mean, from making it look good all the way down to creating a foundation for someone to build off of. I mean, you give these guys an opportunity and the stuff they need, the tools they need to be great, and then you watch the greatness happen. I feel like this could be big for not just me, for not just Bridger Grace, for not just MVP, but for everybody close. Financially, this could create many jobs, and it can help build a foundation for people who normally wouldn't have that on this side of town. So that stability, building that early, could give them the foundation they need to do what they need to do or accomplish good things in life or get some of the things they want in life. Like, I just got a knack for this.
Thank you, Gentel, for sharing your story. You know, MVP Landscaping was birthed out of Bridge the Gap a few years ago. The donations that people gave went directly to buy the resources that were needed for that company, and now it's a thriving company and growing and growing. And so if you're looking for a landscaper, contact MVP, but also the donations that you are going to be giving today directly impact future things like that social enterprise. So we just want to thank you for doing that, and it's not too late to donate. Head over to bridgeofgracecmc.org, click the Donate Now button, and be sure to give to what God is doing here at Bridge of Grace. Next up, we have an incredible story. We have what Javier was just speaking about. Scott Glaze and Dennis from Fort Wayne Metals are going to tell a little bit more about the training facility that they are starting here in the southeast side of Fort Wayne.
I think when we talk about Southeast Fort Wayne, we look at an area of Fort Wayne that's been left behind in many ways. My sister and brother-in-law and their family moved to Crown Colony on Tillman Road, back in the early 70s. And so that was a stomping ground for me. Southtown Mall, all the stores, Southgate, all the things around the southeast side of town. And I lived southwest, and as time went on, I'd get to that area less and less over time. And it just, the economy has continued to stagnate while the rest of Fort Wayne has prospered to some extent. So when I talk about Southeast Fort Wayne, I just see something that it's almost a time capsule. It just hasn't moved, and in many ways it's regressed. Javier Mondragon is a pretty dynamic person, and he kind of drugged me kicking and screaming into the Mount Vernon neighborhood. He wanted to show me what the neighborhood was doing, what Bridge of Grace was doing, and what the church was doing with multilingual services. And I was just taken by the kind of picking yourself up from your bootstraps, the idea of people taking control of their lives. And too many times I see in society that people wait for somebody else to help them. And in this case, from Javier to the rest of the neighborhood, people are trying to make a change, and I really appreciate that. Our company has grown and prospered because we've taken control of our destiny and have done everything we can to be a success. And I saw that in Javier and in the neighborhood, and I wanted to be a part of that. Well, we walked down the streets in the neighborhood, and he showed me vacant lots, some that they had been able to purchase. He showed me a playground that they had made out of one of them. He showed me some houses, some were derelict, that really needed help. There was one that they had purchased, and they were in the process of rebuilding it. And he was so proud of the fact that they took a house that was really in bad shape, and they were going to bring a family that would come in and be able to live there, and I think purchase the house and be able to own a house in that neighborhood. That meant a lot to me. It was either Javier or someone else was telling me that in the Mount Vernon neighborhood, it's a kind of an enclave of serenity in the midst of a lot of crime and poverty. They might still have lower incomes there, but the people banding together have been able to lower the crime rate significantly in their neighborhood. When I've talked to Javier, he has said the people in Southeast, yes, we need housing, and yes, we need places to gather and things for community. He says, but above all else, we need jobs. And I identify with that, because I think that's critical for a person's self-worth, for them to have a meaningful work. And as I talked with Javier, and he told me the need for jobs, well, I need employees. And he said one of the biggest hurdles for people in Southeast of Fort Wayne to be able to hold a job was transportation. And so we specifically looked for locations that were on a bus route. And when we found the building that we now call Mr. James Building is one of the names for it, I remembered it as the Mr. Wiggs department store.
We were looking to move into Southeast Fort Wayne. We wanted to reach underserved communities, and we had never had a very good reach to these underserved sectors of our community. So my boss, Scott Glaze, our CEO, had spoken to some community leaders, Javier Mondragon being one of those, and said, I want to reach this sector of our community, and between Javier and Scott, they decided maybe we should have a manufacturing site in Southeast Fort Wayne. So we started looking, and we toured lots of buildings, and we talked to realtors, and we did everything we could to find a building, and we were kind of striking out. And I happened to be talking to Javier. He said, have you ever looked at the building down at the end of Hannah by 27? I said, I don't even know where you're talking about. So he described the building, and I said, I think that's a Mr. Wiggs building. He said, I believe it was. So started the process of us looking at this building. So we ended up buying it, and you can see we've rehabbed it and turned it into a manufacturing plant. So our plans are to bring manufacturing jobs to Southeast Fort Wayne. Originally, we're transferring jobs. We'll transfer 25 jobs. But long-term, those folks will go back to Waynedale, back to the mother plant, and we'll open up jobs here and we'll grow here. And as we grow here, we're going to hire from Southeast Fort Wayne and fill the jobs with people from the community. People need good employment. People need to have hope. They need to believe their life can be better. They need to believe that hard work is going to yield something good. Those are all temporal things, but they're real things. Some of Jesus's first miracles were feeding people, taking care of their physical needs. This will do that really well. And it's a great place to work. And we're really hoping that Fort Wayne Metals can be a catalyst to make other companies look at Southeast Fort Wayne and say, this makes sense, we could do that. So ultimately, community to me means helping take care of God's children and giving them opportunities so that they can thrive.
I believe that individuals make their own lives and their own futures. And one thing that attracted me to Bridge of Grace and Javier was just the idea of that community was taking control of their future. And that's very important to me, and that's one reason or probably the primary reason that I want to be affiliated with that group is they're looking to the future and they're looking to be in control of their own prosperity, and I think that's very important, and I want to be part of that.
What an absolutely incredible story that we just heard. And Javier and I got to take time and tour the building with a few other community leaders not very long ago. And it's absolutely incredible. And I know you were saying earlier how Fort Wayne Metals and Scott Glaze, they did something different by really listening to community leaders. And I know that you were one of those leaders that they spoke with. So what were some of the things that came out of those conversations that changed for the better for the community?
I think, I was very impressed of their willingness to listen, to ask questions, and to say, what should we do? They're not saying, I'm going to come and this is what we're going to do. This is the way we do things here in Waynedale in their facility, and we want to do the same thing. They were willing to say, well, how can we accommodate to make sure that we are reaching to this new community, this neighborhood, and the people are welcome and feel that they can come and be trained here and work here. And so that was very impressive for me. I think the HR department, I met with some of the HR department, including Dennis, and so the willingness to listen was so important, I think, for me. It was so cool. Yeah.
I think that just when you hear a little bit more about how they're taking away barriers that exist for people who are totally employable and would be really great employees but have barriers, that that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, we talk about transportation when being one of the issues. I know that people who they have a ride and they have to have someone that will take them to work. That's not always the best. It's not reliable if that person is not reliable, and so the shifts. If it's the bus. The bus only goes at a certain time during the day, and so it's impossible sometimes to get a second shift or a third shift if you're going to depend on the bus to go somewhere else. So they listened to that too, and when they found the building, they wanted to find this building by the bus route, like Dennis said in the video. But that's just incredible. The pay, we also talk about that and say, people here in our community, like they're living paycheck to paycheck, like Raina said before. And sometimes it's hard. And if you don't have a job for a while and then you're going to enter back into getting a job, it's hard, and they don't have, like, they're in Survivor, they don't have to eat maybe for the next 2 or 3 days. And they listen to that and they say, well, maybe we can get them to start and then we pay them the next day. We can do that for the first 30 days. And then after that, we can kind of make sure that, they have that cycle of the HR that they can put them into payroll. But for somebody to do that, to be willing to do it, it's just great.
Yeah, and I think as a non-HR person, I didn't realize how difficult everyday pay is, but I know the CFO had a moment of worry about that, but they were able to figure that out, and that commitment to our community, like I've never seen before, is incredible. So.
I'm sure it's a big deal for them because doing the payroll is not an easy thing, and so for them to be able to do that, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
So we're very thankful for what they do.
Yeah, truly transformational.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we've got to sit down a lot, and you've been casting a vision at the end of every day. And so we've talked about education initiatives. We've talked about the revitalization going on, and today with community development, kind of how things run different here. So there's a lot for the future. There's a lot going on right now, but what does work look like starting, Monday? Maybe you'll give us the rest of the afternoon off after a busy week.
Absolutely.
But next week, what does it really look like here at Bridge of Grace? What's going on?
Yeah, so again, back in 2018, the board of Bridge of Grace met and say, what will it look like for Bridge of Grace in the next 5-10 years? And the 3 initiatives, so replication of the model, early childhood education, and economic development were the 3 that we were going to focus on. And so we're so grateful. We applied to some grants, and we're able to get some support to be able to continue the housing. And as we mentioned yesterday, we talked about housing, and we are going to be able to put together a business plan that will be for the next 10 years. And that will include, just make that housing program sustainable. And so we have plans for meetings where Raina is involved, and David, our the person in housing as well. And other 2 business leaders, actually, they're going to help us for the next 6 months. We're going to be meeting and trying to develop this business plan, that we did that with the MVP landscaping as well. We meet for 6 months, and we got that. And so I think it's so important to be able to plan, to be able to strategize. In the replication of the model, the same. As I mentioned yesterday, it's a 1-year project, and so we are meeting with a Betterment Creative. They're also helping us with that project, and so it's a 1-year project where we meet and develop those tools and those resources that we talked about. And so we're doing all of that in early childhood education. Well, that's you.
Very busy.
And the early childhood education, you are very busy, of course, trying to develop that business plan to the model. We had the opportunity to go and visit Indianapolis, this one preschool, and we had another conversation with someone in South Bend. And so you're trying to identify, what would be the best model that we can develop and apply it to our context here in Southeast Fort Wayne. So that keeps us really busy too, right? The after-school programs just started just because of COVID. We actually delayed the start, and they started just this week, I believe, or last week.
Yeah, it's been really exciting and noisy around 2:30, 3 o'clock here every day.
right.
It's bringing life in.
So that's what's happening here. It's just this place became something that I had a dream for. It was the dream of this place to become the hub of the community, the place where people can find a safe place where their kids can come and their youth can feel safe, but also get help, with their homework and their whatever is needed, emotional and spiritual help. And so it's a busy place. It's more than just a Sunday morning church. It's also every day doing something. And so the people working at the houses, people maintaining the parks that we have built here in the neighborhood. So yeah, it's a busy place.
It really is, and it's exciting that we have taken the time to make sure that we're socially responsible, and we've figured out how to get everybody safe back through the COVID-19 things, and that you hear those sounds coming back into the building is really exciting.
Yeah, the resource center, I forgot to mention.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have the resource center with the computer access to people to come, and I think yesterday we had some grandparents who came, and they're part of another program, and they came to learn the basics of computers. These are people who they don't know how to use a computer. And so basically Cindy teaching them the basics and all of that. She went to pick up someone home. She just told me this morning they can come, and so she went to pick them up to come, and we use the computers and have that class.
Bridge of Grace is always going the extra mile to make sure that their neighbors are
the staff,
taken care of.
The staff it's amazing. Yeah.
So we have so many ways that you can get involved. Part of the things that Javier was talking about. This next video is really going to show how you can volunteer in our education programs and what the volunteers love about doing that.
So we started the after-school program because we perceived a need in our neighborhood. The Mount Vernon Park neighborhood, like any other community in this city, in this country, they want the same things everybody else does. They want to live in a place that's beautiful. They want it to be safe for their kids. They want to have a solid education system, so on and so forth. But when you lack time, perhaps because you're working 2 to 3 jobs, when you lack resources, you might not feel equipped to help your own youth. You might not feel like you have the skills or the knowledge to help your own youth. So it was our effort to just be the hands and feet of Christ and come alongside our families and meet them where they are.
One of the reasons why Bridge of Grace is different, why we stand out, is because we are here and focus on the children's education. We want them to succeed. We want them to learn the skills that they need to succeed, and we work hard at getting them there through love and kindness and the relationship. The need is great. These children are way behind in school, and without the help of our volunteers and our programming, they're going to continue to be behind.
I am volunteering with Kids Under Construction program. It meets on Monday afternoons after school, and I've been with it this is my 4th year. The program is mainly, it teaches or tutors with reading, teaching 1st and 2nd graders reading skills. And then part of it is just teaching them godly characteristics, just more about Christ's love for them and just how to find their purpose in life.
Just as much as these physical structures or things in our community are assets, the people within our neighborhood are assets in and of themselves. So yes, the parents and adults and families are assets, but our youth also are assets as well. But sometimes they need someone to help them realize that and figure it out and nurture it a bit.
It's very fulfilling, and you see that you're making a difference in a child's life, and they are so important for the future. And I like it here at Bridge of Grace because of the Christ aspect. We can be open to talk to them, be free to talk to them, and to pray with them, and just let them know we love them.
The hands-on homework, you volunteer for 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 until 4:30 or 5. I can promise you're gonna hear some very heartbreaking stories. You're gonna hear about situations that are could possibly be completely different from how you grew up, and it's gonna break your heart, and it's gonna push you, it's gonna motivate you, inspire you to want to do more. So don't let the fear of thinking you can't teach a child, or you just don't know what to teach, let that get in the way. Honestly, I think if you do it one time, I think you're going to have a very hard time walking away.
So our youth are our future. And if we want to have a hopeful future, a bright future that God promised each of us, then we have to invest in the youth within our community. So I think ultimately the outcome of our programs is not just a better test score. It's not just someone who feels a little bit more confident in their homework, but feels a little bit more confident in life. It's kids that understand how to identify challenges and meet those challenges with growth-oriented mindsets. And I think those are the types of skills that will carry this neighborhood forward, and they're the types of skills that will make our community stronger.
That video is so great and shows the impact of volunteering here with our education programs. But there are so many other ways that you can get involved with volunteering here at Bridge of Grace. So in our education programs, we have tutoring, mentoring, and summer camps. In our home revitalization area, we have construction, home and neighborhood improvement projects that are needed. And in the career development area, we have resume writing, interview skills, job application support. So there's really something that everybody can get involved and join in with their time and their talent. So if you are interested in volunteering with us, there's 3 ways that you can contact us. I guess there's 4. You can comment right now, and Rose is right there ready to talk to you. But you can also email us. You can call our phone number, or you can visit our website, bridgeofgracecmc.org, and click the Get Involved button, and you'll learn more information. So Javier, it takes a village, right? It takes a lot of volunteers to do what we do. It takes a lot of resources, a lot of financial resources. And we know right now we're about 75% of the way to our goal, which is really exciting. But we really need people with knowledge and skills in the specific areas that we're touching. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of your experiences with people who have volunteered?
So it's amazing because you're right. We love our volunteers. They're the best asset, right, of our programs here. The way they love on children, the way they love on youth, and just come here to hang out with them, to spend time with them. It's just amazing. When we started, of course, community development, I went to school to be a pastor. So I went to seminary, and I didn't know anything about how to establish a 501c3 to become what we became the Bridge of Grace. And then after that, now that we're doing housing and we're doing this business, the MVP landscaping, I didn't know how to establish an LLC. I didn't know anything about that. And it's amazing because you say it takes a village. We had some attorneys that they pro bono just say, hey, we're going to help you establish those LLCs, and we're going to help you navigate through all of that. In our board, we have this CPA that, man, we can do it without him, right? All the financial things that we do and how we've been growing so much, having someone like that who knows exactly how to do things and make decisions. So we have these attorneys that establish LLCs for us that help us understand and navigate through insurance and liability and all of that. We have, like I said, the CPA, and financial people that help us. We have realtors now too, right, that help us to buy a home when we need to buy a home or sell a home. We have 2 individuals who have the owners of homes here in the neighborhood, and because our philosophy of moving people into the neighborhood from our staff, challenging them to live here in the neighborhood, these 2 individuals have owned these 2 houses, and they say, you can use our house for one of your staff. And so that's the way of contributing to our ministries. They have their house and they offer it so that we can use it free of charge, free of rent. And that's just amazing. So there's many different ways you can actually contribute. It's knowledge sometimes, right? It's a resource of not just funding, but also knowledge. You mentioned with this educational resource center that we have, we can use people who can come and meet with individuals about helping them with their resume and helping them with, just how do you go to an interview now if you're going to go get a job and things like that. So there's many different ways people can actually give.
That's so exciting. I've received a couple texts from friends that have said, I want to jump in. They already donated money, but they want to do more. And so I think if you are out there and you want to join with us, definitely give us a call. We'd love to sit down and talk to you. We'd love to email back and forth, whatever works for you. But I think it's exciting. The more people that we bring and the talents and the knowledge, it gets even better.
Absolutely.
So this has been an incredible week.
It's been great.
It's overwhelming, the response that we've had. $75,000.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you to all of the people who are donating, and you still have time, but I really appreciate the way you give financially, volunteering, your time, your treasure, and your knowledge as well. Thank you so much. I think one of the things that I really, I really feel so good, and a lot of times I'm on the spot, right? Like I'm the one, people talk about Javier, and it's a great leader, but I couldn't do it without the staff. I really, in my heart, I know that the staff here who are here are called, and you guys have a story on how God called you here and the way you're doing things and why you're doing it and the passion that you bring as you are performing and doing what you do. So everybody, just want to thank all the staff because they are just wonderful. Everybody so committed to the mission, so committed to what they do, and we can do it without them. I really enjoy working with every staff member and how you put more than 100% always to everything you do, including you, including everybody. So thanks for everything. I want to thank a Betterment again. They are doing a wonderful job, and Peter as well as being the producer. They go above and beyond too. See, it's amazing too because they love Jesus as well, and so they been amazing, and they go above and beyond on everything they do, and their quality they have, it's amazing.
It really is. If I had a business, I'd be looking to them to help me out because they are fantastic. So one last time, we have an ask. So please help with us. We have 25% more to get. So head over to our website, bridgeofgracecmc.org. Click donate now. And we also can't tell you how important it is to share this information with your friends. Bridge of Grace is where it is today because people like Ian Rowland reached out to their friends and got so many leaders. So don't hesitate. If this is something that you think is amazing as we do, join in with us, share it with your friends, have conversation tonight at dinner, let people know, click that share button and comment below. So we thank you so much for joining us. It's absolutely the best time. My first hosting gig.
You're amazing. You did such a great job too. That's amazing.
But it has been absolutely fun. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you in person next year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In person. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
No.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, God bless you.